Imagine walking into a room where you know you're not welcome. That's exactly what happened when a successful Black businessman appeared on a popular talk show, only to be met with hostility from the host. From the moment the conversation started, it was clear the host had an agenda, throwing out loaded questions and subtle jabs, trying to undermine his success. But what happened next? No one saw it coming. Instead of getting flustered, the businessman stayed calm, flipping the script with a response so sharp, so undeniable, that the entire audience was left in stunned silence. And then, just like that, the energy in the room shifted. What started as an attempt to humiliate him turned into a masterclass in grace, confidence, and intelligence. The clip spread like wildfire, proving once again that the businessman had walked onto that stage knowing exactly who he was dealing with. The host had a reputation, always pushing boundaries, using sharp words to rattle his guests, especially those who didn't fit his mold of success. From the moment they sat down, the tension was thick. The host leaned forward, smirking, throwing out a question wrapped in fake curiosity but laced with doubt. Tell me, do you really think people take businesses like yours seriously? The audience chuckled, sensing the setup. But the businessman didn't blink. He tilted his head, watching the host carefully, as if deciding whether to entertain the insult or dismantle it completely. The cameras zoomed in, catching the flicker of confidence in his eyes. He took a slow breath, and then, with the perfect mix of poise and power, he started to speak. What he said next? It changed everything. Oh, amount of bias can silence the truth. Stay tuned, because you don't want to miss this moment. The businessman leaned back slightly, his expression calm but unreadable. He let the silence stretch just long enough to make the audience shift in their seats. Then, with a small smile, he finally spoke. "That's an interesting question," he said, his voice steady. "But I think the real question is, why do people like you still believe success has only one face?" The host's smirk twitched. He hadn't expected that. He cleared his throat, trying to regain control. "I'm just saying," he continued, forcing a chuckle, "it's not every day you see someone like you running a company at this level." The audience murmured. Some laughed. Others weren't so sure. But the businessman didn't waver. "Someone like me?" he repeated, raising an eyebrow. "You mean someone who built their company from the ground up, who employs hundreds of people, who's sitting here today because of hard work and results?" His words cut through the host's smile, faltered for a split second, but he quickly recovered. He leaned forward, determined to regain control of the conversation. "Look," he said, forcing a laugh, "I'm just playing devil's advocate here. A lot of people might say that businesses like yours don't have the same credibility as the big players in the industry." His tone was casual, but his words carried weight. He wanted the businessman to stumble, to second-guess himself. But the businessman wasn't rattled. He glanced at the audience, then back at the host, his expression unreadable. "Credibility," he repeated, his voice smooth but firm. "Would you say the same thing if I looked different? If my background matched yours?" The room went still. The audience, once entertained, was now watching closely. Even the crew behind the cameras seemed to hold their breath. Imagine sentencing a man to jail, only to find yourself locked up with him just hours later. That's exactly what happened to Judge Ernest Capers, a well-respected Black judge known for his tough but fair rulings. After delivering a sentence to a man named Darnell Parker for a minor offense, Judge Capers found himself on the wrong side of the bars due to an unexpected turn of events. The night started like any other, but a shocking series of events led the judge to experience the very system he upheld, this time from the inside. With emotions running high and tensions rising, The two men were forced to confront their roles in the justice system in a way neither had ever imagined. What happened next changed both their lives forever. Stay tuned because this unbelievable twist will leave you Judge Ernest Capers had spent years handing down sentences, believing in the power of justice to correct wrongs. But as the cold metal bars locked behind him, a chilling realization hit. Tonight, he wasn't the one in control. Across the dimly lit cell, Darnell Parker sat on the bench, arms crossed, eyes filled with something between confusion and amusement. The same man Judge Capers had sentenced just hours ago was now his cellmate. Neither spoke at first. The tension was thick, the irony unmistakable. Darnell smirked, shaking his head. "Didn't think I'd be seeing you here, Judge." Capers exhaled, still processing how a routine evening had spiraled into this nightmare. An unexpected mix-up, a clerical error, or maybe something deeper. He wasn't sure yet. But one thing was certain, this wasn't just a mistake. And as the hours passed, the night was only getting stranger, shining everything you thought you knew about justice and redemption. Judge Capers sat in silence, his mind racing. How did this happen? He had always trusted the system, but now that he was inside it, everything felt different. The fluorescent lights flickered above, casting sharp shadows on the concrete walls. Darnell leaned back, watching him closely. "So what'd they get you for?" Darnell finally asked, his voice laced with curiosity. Capers hesitated. He wasn't sure how much to say. The truth was embarrassing, a simple paperwork error, a miscommunication that landed him here for the night. But the longer he sat in the cell, the more he realized something unsettling. If a judge could end up here so easily, what about the people he sentenced? Darnell chuckled. "Crazy, huh? Tables turned real quick."